The Great Mighty Poo has to be one of the greatest boss battles we've ever encountered. Not because of the great gameplay mechanics like throwing shit at us or throwing toilet paper at him, no, because of his overall presentation, the music, he teases us, sings a great song, and it's just a memorable scene. I always wanted to sculpt something, like North of the Border. He does it all the time and it looks pretty easy, right? So how can we go wrong with sculpting a piece of shit? I focused on his main characteristics, like his mouth, arms, and his overall shape. I also added some additional strong nails for better handling and drilled into my desk like the fucking animal I am to fix him. But the wireframe is still as hollow as this fluffy head. So I stuffed this piece with a lot of tinfoil, starting by slowly twisting it around the wires and then stuffing the hole inside. It has to be really dense. Now starts the fun part. I added small pieces of Super Sculpey all around the tinfoil except the bottom to create a first layer. Looks pretty good so far. I can almost hear him sing. I then added some more Sculpey on his head and pressed down a ball head sculpting tool to create a pocket, which I filled with 2 eyeballs. A couple of little Sculpey sausages will help me to create his eyebrows and the general look on his face. Then I added some more Sculpey on his nose and bottom lip and tried to shape it. I don't know. For the next part, I wrote down some Sculpey and cut it into some rectangular forms. I also tried to avoid any sharp edges or corners and touch anything, so it looks a little more soft and these are his teeth, or his corn? I don't know, looks like corn. And I made a bunch of those and put it in his mouth. Not knowing, I already made a mistake. Can you spot it? I added some more Sculpey rolls on his hand and tried to bend them and pull them into the right grabbing position. Like if you take a big dump and your fingers really scratch the toilet seat. Then I pressed down the sculpting tool to create a little pocket and added some fingernails. But what is he grabbing? Well, in the game, it's a piece of crying corn. And since we're already experienced with making corn, let's just make one with eyes. Press the ball tool down to create a fitting for his eyes, added 2 eyeballs, and then I tried to sculpt a fitting mouth. Imagine a big pile of grabbing you and is about to swallow you as a whole. I mean, some people might get off of it. I finished off his eyes with 2 little more balls, and then I put him into the hand of the Great Mighty Poo. Man, I really like where this is going. I finished the Great Mighty Poo's eyes in the same way, and then I formed little drops, pressed them onto his skin, and smoothed one side out with my fingers. So it looks like the shit is slowly dripping down from his whole body. Feels natural. I also tried to carve in some crust details all around his body, but it didn't turn out that great. Except the fingernails. I like these. And there he is, boys. The Great Mighty Poo in all his glory. This is my second sculpt after Decolink, and I think it turned out great. I mean, it's not that difficult, right? At least making a big piece of I had so much fun sculpting that little corn that I decided to make even more of these guys. First step, make stuff. Second step, find out where to put it. Then I grabbed all of my minis and baked them in the oven. Man, I wish my wife would spend that much time in the kitchen. Of course, only after everything was baked, my wife asked me why I didn't put in tooth number 4 on his upper lip. And I was like, what? 1, 2, 3. Anyway, I took him up to the balcony and started to prime him, to the dismay of my neighbors. For the next step, I used some good old crackle paint. I put down some very thick layers around his eyes and mouth, like everywhere the would crack open because it's got movement. And then I used a hairdryer to heat him up. That will result in some big It's important that you prime your model first, otherwise the crackle paint will not stick to the model and just peel off. I got out my airbrush and used some white translucent ink to put on some highlights. Then a very dark brown contrast paint, and then I started to layer some variations of brown on top until it was too bright, which made me add some reddish brown all over the place and create some more shadows. To cut some time, I also primed his teeth and eyes white. I wanted his teeth to really stand out. Oh yeah, and if you want to see more just subscribe to the channel, man! So I put on the brightest yellow I could find with some orange shades to create some real contrast between his teeth and his skin. Then I tried to paint a little confused look on his eyes and a terrified expression on the little corn and called him done. This is it. This is my biggest and most beautiful piece of I've ever made.
Hey Sharon, you gotta come see this.
But here at MiniQuiz64, we like to make stuff complicated. So, an epoxy resin diorama it is. But we're missing some more details and miniatures. Luckily, I already sculpted some more corn. I'm still not sure where to put them, like drowning them, let them be eaten or thrown at Conker. I don't know yet, but we'll find out later. Right now, I just want to continue sculpting. When I think of Conkers Bad Fur Day, I also think of that little grumpy cash bundle, always screaming like, "Some money over here! Somebody get me! AM, you greedy bastard!" And sculpting him was pretty easy too. After all, these are very simple miniatures. You don't need to be good at sculpting. You just cut it and shape it with your little sausage fingers. I mean, I have way too big of fingers and I still can't do it, so you can do it too. And you put them together, you put some balls down and you call it done. And it looks amazing because it's simple. It doesn't have to be overcomplicated like fucking Walmart stuff with 500 bags around the belt that you all have to paint in different shades of brown, right? What the f, man? Just get him some angry eyebrows, make a white dot on top and call it done.
Some money over here.
And I'm just getting started, mate. How about some chocolate? Like Conker always like when he eats it, but when you lose life, we need more chocolate. So 2 plates, smash them together, smooth them out, take a big chunk of a bite out of that, and you paint that whole stash of chocolate in different layers of brown until your wife tries to eat him, right? That's the spirit. What else do we need? How about a plate and a cup of tea without the tea? Well, pretty simple, painted white, done. Oh, what about the fucking dung beetles? Very simple shapes. The most distinguished feature is that little cut on the mouth, so we do that. We add eyes, and we bend some wires and smash some more Sculpey around it. Paint him red with dark dots, highlights, eyes, black parts, until he starts to speak like a guy from Liverpool.
The stink came out of the shite.
Look what your old man made.
I used some putty to put my miniatures on chopsticks and place them a little above the ground, because I didn't want to simply drop them at the bottom. Now it's time to mix some epoxy resin. I didn't know the exact amount, I had a rough calculation. So first off, I need to get the color right. I started from a yellow and slowly transitioned into a more poop brown. That looks great. I dropped the whole cup into the mold, but it wasn't enough. So another cup. And then half of another cup. So that's around 1 kilogram of epoxy resin. The last time I used that much resin, I almost burned down my home. So for the next 2 days, I just went outside and just simply looked at my epoxy resin. Is anything wrong? Are there bubbles? And nothing happened.
A few moments later.
So after 3 days of curing, I'm finally able to remove the mold and the chopsticks and all the other. That's going to be a problem. I can't get it off. Come on, man. Come here. Get off, man. Yeah. Uh-oh. That didn't feel right. No. Yeah. I broke a tooth off.
Sorry about that, old chap.
So first of all, the resin turned yellow. I don't know why. It still looks great. That didn't go as planned, but I take it. I forgot some putty under the corn. Well, I can't fix that. We're still missing Conker though, and I want him to stand on a platform a little raised to the diorama. So another bunch of tinfoil, roughly shaped, added some Sculpey, put it on the base, added more drops, and in the oven. While that thing dries, I cut off the edges of the epoxy and resin. For the next step, I wanted to try something new. I've seen a lot of epoxy resin diorama videos from Mini Bricks, and they always grind some waste on top of the resin, so I wanted to try that. I went outside, grabbed my little grinder, and started to grind. And I simply found out that sucks. One little mistake and you damage your model. This stuff got everywhere. It was an absolute pain in the. And once I finished grinding, I couldn't get the dust off from the model. So it took me a lot of time and I had to wash it in sink with water carefully. But here it is. The epoxy resin surface still looks white, but that's no problem. We just simply add a translucent medium to turn it clear again. Works like a charm. You shouldn't move. You didn't see that. It was absolutely worth the effort. This looks way better than the flat surface we had before. To be honest with you, I was quite scared to do that. So thanks Sam for pushing me. But why did I decide to make a Big Mighty Pooh diorama in the first place? Well, life can be a piece of sometimes. And recently, my wife got a cancer diagnosis. And how do we cope with that? I like to build dioramas, and I felt like the Big Mighty Pooh is a very fitting one. And my wife, well, she started to play Anno 1800 like a madman. We are still missing a Conker model, so I asked Gerald from Might Be Monsters for a little help.
Hi there, I'm Gerald from Might Be Monsters. I'm a miniature painter and amateur 3D sculptor. I'm also a huge fan of Rareware and all their games. One of my favorite games is of course Conkers Bad Fur. In my youth we shouldn't have played it. We got it from one of my older cousins and they let us play it and we had so much fun playing all the story. The Great Mighty Poo was, okay, we know it, it was memorable, it was hilarious and we loved to play this one level all over again because the singing, the atmosphere and all the nasty words we should not know about, it was just great. And now, almost 20 years later, I still love this game, I still love the scene. And so, this was my reason why I joined this project and I had a lot of fun. And here is your finished Conker. Enjoy!
Okay guys, so go check out Gerald's Cult3D page, get that model, or maybe even his highly detailed first figurine. Thanks Gerald, your model looks amazing.
To the layman, the red squirrel.
But why was Conkers Bad Fur so special? Well, it was different. Very different at the time. It took everything from Rare that was great and made it nasty. You just had to be there as a child and play that game. It had so many memorable characters, each with a different story and dark secrets. It was hard, true, but that's nothing unusual looking back at Rare's past games like Battletoads, Diddy Kong Racing, and even Donkey Kong Country was not an easy game. I mean, today's equivalent would be Baldur's Gate 3. Like making an actual good game in modern times, yeah? That's pretty unusual. Nobody dared to do that. So if by any chance someone from the original Rare studio is watching this video, thank you for making my childhood so special with your games. Conker is now almost done, but we're still missing a weapon to fight the Great Mighty Poo. And what would be more fitting than a piece of real toilet paper? So let's free that cardboard roll, cut it to a more fitting size, then we unroll another piece of toilet paper, you re-roll it back. I used the glue stick from time to time to fixate everything. Then I attached it to Conker, and now we can have a look at our finished piece.
Hi, I'm Chris Marlow. I'm Principal Gameplay Engineer at Rare. I've been working there for over 29 years now. It's been over 20 years since Conkers Bad Fur was released. I was one of the programmers on there, and I was also the voice of the Great Mighty Poo. I am the Great Mighty Poo, and I'm going to throw my shit at you. A huge supply of tish comes from my chocolate starfish. How about some scat, you little twat? Everyone at Rare, or everyone who worked on Conkers Bad Fur loves it when we get people tell us how important the game was to them, how much they enjoyed it, how much fun they've had, how young they were when they started playing it. And also we love all the fan artwork that's made for the game, from pictures and including models like Sergey's fantastic work that you've been looking at in this video too. So we always love it and love to hear from you and love to see it.
Uh-oh. Thank you very much.
Big shout out to all of my Patreons who make these dioramas possible, and thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.
I'm going to throw my shit at you. A huge supply of tish comes from my chocolate starfish. How about some scat, you little twat?
Fuck cancer. I'm really sorry, Janina, to hear that you're having to go through some cancer treatment. I'm sure you're going to absolutely smash it and tell cancer where to go. But big love to both of you and everyone in the Conker community, and we love you very much. Bye.